Hello, Popcorn Junkies. How are you? If you're a movie fan or a streaming fan or even a TV show fan, that ancient old artifact, the television, do subscribe below. We react to lots of trailers for mainstream, blockbustery stuff, art house stuff, indie stuff. We do movie reviews, same breadth of genre. We do at the moment, fortnightly, weekly rushes, only because there's not an enormous amount of news coming out of Hollywood at the moment. Anyway, so this is a reaction to a trailer for the new film Oppenheimer by Christopher Nolan. This is a film about the theoretical physicist Robert Oppenheimer, who was a part of something called the Manhattan Project in Model 2 and was a critical scientific part of the development of the atomic bomb, which obviously subsequently went on to destroy Hiroshima and Nagasaki and essentially bring about the end of World War II. And for all of the chat on the global stage of the potential threat of using nuclear armory and war and all that kind of stuff, obviously it's kind of curious that the only country that has actually ever used a nuclear bomb or nuclear weaponry is America. So this is a film. Now, notable things about this. Christopher Nolan, fabulous filmmaker, a renowned cinephile. He's a filmmaker's filmmaker, if you know what I mean. You know, he did the Dark Knight series of films. He did Dunkirk, which was that wonderful, almost real-time symphonic movie about, obviously, the Dunkirk evacuations and how that all went wrong. Interstellar, incredibly emotional, contemplative, intelligent, sci-fi type thing. Inception, wasn't a particularly big fan of Inception. I thought it went a bit too far up its own bottom, literally. Tenet, which I thought had huge, I mean, the first opening 15-20 minutes of Tenet, some of the best you'll ever see in film. Memento, which was a brilliant film starring Guy Pearce years ago, sort of almost told in reverse. And so he's a fascinating filmmaker. He makes incredibly sort of epic-like films, but he's interested in film. He's interested in celluloid. He might make stuff for IMAX and all that kind of stuff, but like this film, I think is shot on 65mm IMAX film. And I think it's the first film ever to have been shot on 65mm, large format film, that's also uses black and white analog photography. So there are huge sequences, as we've seen in previous trailers, of black and white footage. Now, this stars Cillian Murphy. You'll all know Cillian Murphy from the Peaky Blinders. Incredibly sort of poker face, incredibly inscrutable, incredibly aquiline and angular and intense and simmering. Although when I've seen him in interview, he hasn't had much to say, but that can be sometimes the sign of a great actor, is that they become whatever the role is that they're playing. They fill their empty vessel of themness with the depth of a fictional character. So we've got Cillian Murphy in there, but the rest of the cast in this film is absolutely sensational. I think it's been a case of everyone has been clamouring to get into a Christopher Nolan film for quite some time. Who else is in there? Emily Blunt as his wife. We've got Matt Damon in there. We've got Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh. Where isn't Florence Pugh at the moment? Rami Malek, Benny Safdie, one half of the Safdie brothers who directed Uncut Gems. He's in there too. Josh Hartnett, Kenneth Branagh, a long-time collaborator with Christopher Nolan. Jack Quaid, who's brilliant in there too. An enormous cast. I think this is going to be Cillian Murphy's chance for an Oscar nod or nomination for sure. This looks like this is a massive, massive film. This looks like already, from the few trailers I've seen, to be an incredibly stressful, incredibly atmospheric, intense, brilliantly shot kind of exploration, not just of the development of the atomic bomb, but obviously Oppenheimer's own internal psychological, spiritual, emotional, existential strife. I'm presuming we're going to get a lot of that, unless he's a complete psychopath, in which case we're not. So let's, without further ado, watch this latest trailer. Obviously, Chris Nolan is a big fan of not releasing trailers online. He wants them to be seen at the cinema, and this one has been out of the cinema for a while.
This is a national emergency. Detonator charge. We're in a race against the Nazis. And I know what it means if the Nazis have a bomb.
They have a 12-month head start. 18. How could you possibly know that?
We've got one hope. All America's industrial might and scientific innovation connected here. Secret laboratory. Keep everyone there until it's done.
Let's go recruit some scientists.
Build a town, build it fast. If we don't let scientists bring their families, we'll never get the best.
Why would we go to the middle of nowhere for who knows how long.
Why? Why? How about because this is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world?
You're the great improviser, but this you can't do in your head.
Are we saying there's a chance that when we push that button, we destroy the world?
Chances are near zero.
Near zero.
What do you want from theory alone?
Zero.
Would be nice. This is a matter of life and death. I can perform this miracle.
World War II would be over. Our boys would come home.
That's happening, isn't it?
The world will remember this day. Our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen. Until somebody builds a bigger one.
You are the man who gave them the power to destroy themselves. And the world is not prepared.
Goosebumps.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Truman needs to know what's next.
2,
What's next?
1.
That has to be, for me, probably one of the best trailers made, if not this year, then in recent years. I mean, staggering, astonishing, the incredibly harsh edge to the sound of the Geiger counter, or, you know, the static, the kind of radioactive sound. How brilliant was that? Soundtrack, presumably, is it Hans Zimmer yet again? He's a sort of long-time collaborator with Christopher Nolan. Just building that tension. And for the majority of that, was interesting looking at Oppenheimer. Obviously, he's not actually shrouded in doubt, self-doubt and concern and worry. He's driving it almost with nationalistic fervour that this needs to be done in order to stay ahead of the Nazis. And I think it's important to remember that whilst it was used in Japan, we can't underestimate the extent to which none of us knew, or no one at the time knew, the extent to which Hitler had developed similar technology. And so, in a sense, this is the birth of the nuclear arms race. An escalation, if you like. I love the way in which in the last sort of almost quarter of the trailer we shift towards the more internal conflict. I mean, most of that is obsessed with, you know, the scientific technicalities, the building of a village or a town for all of these people to kind of work from and make this, the secrecy around it, literally the construction of a bomb in sort of segments, which is just like, you sometimes think, was it literally a bomb that looked like a sort of really conventional bomb from, I don't know, Wacky Races or something like that? Kind of did, didn't it? And then, of course, within there, you've got all those kind of wonderfully abstract shots of sort of atomic matter firing, shooting, colliding, just lending the whole thing another sort of abstraction, because I think science can be done so dryly, and so as soon as you see it as this kind of almost creative, somewhat beautiful thing, and there's that wonderful shot towards the end, I don't know if you noticed, a sort of an abstract shot of what looked like could be nuclear fusion, or the act of a nucleus kind of doing whatever it does. I was never good at science, but it almost equates to an eyeball. The eyeball almost becomes a sort of scientific sort of process or chemical reaction of some form. And I have to say, when you then throw into that Cillian Murphy's remarkable face, I mean, I would almost say that shot just towards the end of just moving in on him slowly, crabbing in on him in a slow zoom, he deserves an Oscar just for having his face. It's remarkable. So that just looks sensational. I think it looks, and Matt Damon looking great in there, absolutely great in there. Emily Blunt, sort of aware of the horror that could come from this, the sort of panic, the sense of urgency, and then the sense of, oh shit, what the hell have we unleashed?